Hey guys, welcome to Mikey's Video Game Madness. Today we'll be covering Battlefield 4 on the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 3. I'm sure there's already videos like this, but yours truly isn't talking, so maybe you'll get something out of it that you didn't get on the other videos. This probably isn't going to be as a fancy comparison as other videos, but I will give you my opinions. I'm actually watching this on the small little video editing screen, but I did play these games individually on a big screen, so I'll try to give you my insight from memory and from watching the screen. So right now we're looking at the PlayStation 4 version. You will not be able to tell that this runs on 60 frames per second, beside the animation being a little bit smoother, but YouTube only shows up to 30 frames. But I can tell that the animation looks smoother even at running 30, because I don't think that the PlayStation 3 version always runs on 30. The PlayStation 3 version, however, does look really good, but if you go from playing the PlayStation 4, PC, or Xbox One version and going back to the current gen of the Xbox or PlayStation 3 versions, the game almost feels unplayable because the frame rate drops like by half. But now we're switching to the PlayStation 3. It still looks quite good. The frame rate is not as silky smooth. The character models are a little bit more blocky. The textures are a little bit blurrier, but the lighting is still quite good. You're not going to get as many particle effects, obviously, but I mean, you still have the lens flare reflecting on the lens. The floors are reflected. All in all, it looks like maybe the PC version on lower settings, you still get some of the rain particles like flying into the ship, maybe not as many as the PlayStation 4, PC, or Xbox One versions, but enough to give you the mood. And I am still quite impressed with the facial animations, but when you play both games, they have a completely different feel, because I didn't realize it at the time because I was pro current gen when Battlefield 3 came out, and I heard all these PC gamers talking about, oh, it's only half the frame rate and all this stuff, and I'm like, what you talking about? This game's fun, it's still great, and it was, but the newer versions were great or better. Right now we're looking at the PlayStation 4 version, and you'll see in a bit when we switch back to the PlayStation 3 that the PlayStation 4's water textures are a lot more detailed. The water looks more realistic and more particles flying. Again, the textures are sharper, but when it goes to the PlayStation 3 version, you're not going to really notice much of a difference until you come on land in a few seconds. But yeah, very atmospheric. I picked this level because there's a lot going on. I mean, it's not the clearest level because you're in a storm. Pay attention to the ground textures. They're a lot better than the PlayStation 3's. That explosion doesn't happen in the PlayStation 3's, and the explosions aren't as big. Now look at the water textures as we look at the PlayStation 3 version. They're not as good. They're a little bit more simplified. But I mean, it still captures the same feel as a single player. Really, you're not going to notice much of a difference in the games until you play multiplayer and you're playing 64 player matches versus 24 players. But in all honesty, I think that actually might be a preference thing, because I enjoy the 24 player matches like almost as much as the 64 player. It just depends on what I'm in the mood for, because 64 player matches are like pure chaos. Now we're back to the PlayStation 4 version. The texture's a lot nicer. The animation on the trees seem to be a little bit better. There might be a little bit more trees. It hasn't switched to the PlayStation 3 version, so I can't really tell you in all honesty. It just looks all around better. This single player mode has this weird thing where you actually have to spot the enemies for the computer controlled teammates to be able to shoot them, and that's a problem I have with the real people. And I think that's what this game is trying to get you to do, is to learn how to spot people, because nobody that I've played with, only a couple of people that you play with on your team actually spot the enemies, which will then show on your map. And I think the single player campaign is trying to get you used to doing that, but apparently it fails, or the people that are playing aren't playing the single player. I don't know. But if you're playing multiplayer on this game and you're watching this video, please spot the enemy so other people can see where they are in the map. It's extremely helpful for you and me. But yeah, that's what it's getting you to do, because if you notice on the bottom left hand of the screen, all of a sudden you have triangles appearing on the screen showing you where the enemy positions are. You have some environmental destruction going on here. Yep, there you go, a tree blowing up. Very nice. If you have a PlayStation 4 controller in Battlefield 3 on the PlayStation 3, this is compatible, and I highly suggest you use the PlayStation 4 controller for the PlayStation 3 version. It runs so much better. Now, this is a huge difference on the PlayStation 4 version. You'll notice that there's a lot of cars here. They're absent in the PlayStation 3 version, and you'll see because there's more physics going on and particle effects, like that tank's going over those cars like it's Monster Truck Rally. They're getting crushed like soda cans. That doesn't happen in the PlayStation 3 version, unfortunately. But I mean, for what the PlayStation 3 version does, it is quite impressive. And like I said, you won't notice any of this until you play a PlayStation 4 and go back to 3, because when I was playing the when I was about to get the PlayStation 4 version, I didn't think that there was going to be a huge difference. And I didn't think while I was playing the PlayStation 4, beside it looking sharper, that there was a huge difference until I went to back to the PlayStation 3 version. So if you just play the PlayStation 3 or Xbox version, you're straight. They're excellent games. They're fun. Awesome titles. But if you happen to play the next gen and go back to the current gen, you're not going to like it. Now, this is back to the PlayStation 3. As you can see, the level's a little bit more simplified, not as many particles going on. More than anything, they're using fog to create the illusion of rain, instead of actually having as many like specks of rain flying sideways in your face. Just not as many particles going on. Still very playable, but if you're used to the 60 frames per second, it will throw you off considerably. And I highly recommend playing the PlayStation 3 version with the PlayStation 4 controller. It doesn't look like much, but it makes a huge difference. I actually switched when I was recording this video midway to using a PlayStation 4 controller, because it was better. Now this you didn't see while I was playing the PlayStation 4 version, but it was there. There's a way to spot your enemies, and the Recon class in multiplayer has it too. You have these binoculars that you actually can use that go into an infrared mode, and then you can spot enemies easier. And when you use your sniper rifle, you actually have a little dial that you have to zero in the distance, and that'll actually tell you how far your enemies are. Being a sniper in this game is a lot more difficult than I think Battlefield 3 or any of the other Battlefields, for the fact that you have to zero in on the distance. But I imagine if you play the Recon class a lot and get used to using your binocs, or just being able to scope it out by eye and adjusting like the bullet drop in the distance, you'll be fine. If you look here, the cars are absent. There were a bunch of cars, if you remember, in the PlayStation 4 version. The tank ran over and crushed them, and a lot of sparks were shooting out of the bottom. But I mean, for what it is, and the game, it has a decent amount of stuff going on. It's quite impressive for a PlayStation 3 title. And if you don't have a PlayStation 4 or Xbox One, there is a promotion going on, I think till March of next year. If you happen to get a next gen system, if you don't already have a PC or whatever, I mean, get it on the PC if you have a PC that can run it. But I mean, I don't know, specs for these games are pretty high. They're beyond my budget, like $400 for just a video card and not a whole unit itself. I mean, the thing should be able to time travel as well, but that's my personal opinion. But there are people that are pretty serious about their PC gaming, which is more power to them, but I just like getting one console for a reasonable price. It might not be the top of the line like a PC, but it runs good. But anyway, if you get Battlefield 4 for either system, you can upgrade for $10, I believe, by March 2014. So if you were a fan of Battlefield 3, don't let the current gen's simplified areas of the game discourage you. It's very much playable. It's still very impressive. It's not 64-player matches, but again, like I said, that's personal preference. Sometimes I prefer just playing 24-player matches, because 64-player matches are quite chaotic, and when you play that many people at a time, sometimes you don't have any time to breathe. You'll like spawn and somebody will kill you right there. It's kind of like a bigger version of the closed-in areas of when you play Call of Duty, where people shoot you the minute you spawn, because the maps are a little bit smaller. But yeah, I highly recommend this. And if you're curious about other upgrades, I believe Need for Speed Rivals, you can upgrade. Assassin's Creed Black Flag is upgradable, and Call of Duty Ghosts are upgradable. And I think maybe some of the sports games, but since I don't play sports games, I don't really know, so I don't want to steer you wrong. But anyway, thank you for watching my video. I hope this comparison was at least somewhat educational, or my commentary at least made it enjoyable. But thanks for supporting my channel, and as always, take care. And if you're a new viewer and you like what you see, totally subscribe and leave comments or whatever. I'm not begging you, but I mean, why wouldn't you subscribe to something if you like what you see? I mean, it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? But anyway, guys, thanks for watching and take care. Bye.